All right, this is not drama today, but I do have a story about the pettiest thing I have ever done. I don't normally think of myself as a petty guy. I feel like I'm pretty level-headed, try to, treat people with empathy, respect, the way I want to be treated, golden rule. But, I've been a little pettier recently. Like, I'll give you an example. In one of the comments of my mogul mail video, someone said, getting ratioed isn't even that bad. I looked up their YouTube name on Twitter, found their Twitter, and then said L plus ratio and ratioed them, which is like the pettiest thing I could have done. They had 2 followers. 2. I have 1.2 million. That was petty. But that's not even the worst thing I've done this week. If you don't know, Genesis, it's a tournament for Super Smash Brothers. It's like the Super Bowl of Smash. It's the largest Smash tournament in the world, bar none. But their tournament that was supposed to happen at the end of the month got delayed because the Omicron variant is spreading so rapidly. They were concerned and they delayed it by like a few months, which put a lot of people into pretty tough situations. I mean, it's 2 weeks out from the event. A lot of people booked flights, and it's a pain in the ass to change your flight around. Everybody knows that. And also, if you couldn't go to the new date, they would only refund you half your venue fee. Now, before you start thinking, well, that all sucks, some context. This largest Super Bowl event is run by 2 people. That's it. There are 2 people that run this event, and they are just community members who started doing this as like side hustles just to help the community out. And that's what Smash is at its core. It's not a community that's propped up by a huge mega corporation like Nintendo, like it could be, like other tournaments are, Riot Games, for example. It's grassroots. It's people putting in their time, putting in their money, putting their effort to create things. Look no further than Slippy, all right? It's one of the greatest ways to play a video game online, and it was made by one man with 6 months of his time. And he didn't get money for that. I mean, since then, people have like given him money and shown their appreciation, but at the start, they didn't. And it's a free software. You can do it right now if you want to play Melee against anyone across like the entire country. It's amazing. Anyway, that's what happened. And the TOs, those 2 guys I was talking about, they were set to lose above $100,000 from this switch. And some people were going to lose tens, if not even hundreds of dollars from losing out on flights, etc. So when they announced this, it was controversial to say the least. And one person in particular replied pretty bitterly. They said, if you don't give me a refund, I'm lawyering up. They did the classic, you better lawyer up, asshole. And somebody said, dude's getting a lawyer over $40, to which they replied, send me the $40 or shut the fuck up. At this point, I saw this thread, and I looked at the guy's profile, and I saw that there was like a little bio, and it said, spreading the love. And I was like, that's funny. Screenshot it, replied with that screenshot. Ratioed him. Not that I'm trying to ratio. Obviously, it's going to happen, though, when I have 1.2 million followers, and they have hundreds. Then they replied to me, and they said something that kind of struck a chord with me. They said, I work hard for my money. I didn't sign up to donate it. Keep memeing, though, if you want. After this, they reached out to DM because I replied and offered to personally refund them. And so they did. They reached out, and we went back and forth on DMs for like 15 minutes, which, again, is not something I do. I rarely ever reply to DMs. But for whatever reason, I was feeling specifically available with my time that day. And the guy was like, hey, you get it, right? And I was like, yeah, I get it, but you're not treating these people with respect or empathy. It feels like you're just kind of treating them like a mega corporation, like you would Amazon if your package arrived late and you called up. And even if you do that, people will call you a Karen. So if you're doing it against like 2 people in a grassroots scene, it's just rude. And he didn't really back down. He was like, yeah, but you get it, right? I deserve my money. It's my money. And these people are stealing from me. I'm like, okay, yeah, like I think that's right, but there are better avenues than just flaming on Twitter. This is where he got weirdly dense. Like what? What do you mean? How do I reach them? So I found the exact page on the tournament website, screenshot. It literally says, contact me. We will usually reply within 24 hours. And I sent that. And he's like, I sent the message. And I'm like, okay, yeah, maybe you should wait a day. It is the exact day that they announced that they're going to be delaying the tournament. They're probably a little swamped, you know, and hey, have a little bit of empathy, a little bit of patience, and things will probably resolve themselves. He followed up with, I mean, yeah, I could have gone about it differently, but you get it, right? I deserve it. And that's where I got annoyed. I don't know. Something set off in my brain. I was just pissed off. Maybe it's because my background, my roots, where I came from is the Smash scene. And I've like only ever seen people be super helpful and supportive and like loving. I mean, I feel and I've always felt that I could go to any country, city in the world and there'd be a person willing to put me in their living room to sleep there, even though they like live with their parents or whatever. And they'd like house me, feed me. It's a very giving scene. And every tournament organizer I know, people like Homemade Waffles or anybody else, don't make a lot of money putting on these tournaments. In fact, sometimes they don't make any money at all. They're maybe even losing money, but they're doing it to keep the game alive because it's the game they love. And I was like, hey, man, you're a good player. This person's not a random. They're not going to a tournament going 0-2. They're an actually PR ranked player. And I was like, you reap so many benefits and rewards for just being in the scene that you don't pay for. You're acting so privileged for a scene that gives so much. And I feel like that context should help. And then he replied, what do you mean? What do I even get? What do I get for free? And I was done. I spent like 10 minutes talking to this guy. I was trying to just get one message across, and I failed. So I said, just give me your Venmo. And he says, okay. My flight was $150, and they owe me $20 because they didn't refund the full amount. And I was like, all right. So I sent them $170. I have it in my Venmo. I sent them all the money, and he was like, all right, cool, got it, thanks. And then I sent a reply after. I said, hey, man, I really feel like you should learn to treat people with a little more empathy and respect. And at the end of the day, I totally get wanting to have your money back. In fact, I encourage you to do it. But there are better avenues to do it than throwing like a hissy fit on Twitter and threatening litigation and cursing out people. There are direct contacts you can make and I don't know. You could have just made a bigger effort. And so I'm going to ban you from any events I run in the future. And if you don't know, I've planned and announced that I'm going to run the largest Smash tournament, not only in player pool, but also prize pool. It's going to be $250,000 for each event. But that event's not going to happen for like a year. And I was like, it doesn't feel as good when I can't immediately get back at this guy. So right after I texted him that, I put him in my spam folder so he can't DM me anymore. I went upstairs to my roommate, Aiden, who, if you don't know, is a part of the yard, but also a famous tournament organizer. And I said, Aiden, I want to run a $30,000 tournament that's online and completely free to enter, so that any Smasher who plays Melee anywhere in the country can immediately join. It costs $0, and they can win thousands from the comfort of their home. And he said, yeah, that sounds good. And here it is. Here it is. I fucking did it. It's called LACS4, and it's happening January 29th and 30th of this month. At the end of this month, I'm running the largest online tournament of all time. And if you're wondering why it's $30,001, it's because it's also one of the top 10 largest tournaments in terms of prize pool. It already actually has 672 people signed up, including some of the best players in the world. Hungrybox, Axe, Face Roll, IBDW, like really legends of the game are signed up for it. So, yeah, out of pettiness, I spent $30,001 on running the 10th biggest tournament of all time, just to spite some asshole on Twitter. So if you guys are at all interested in Melee, you can sign up to play. It's totally free. And if you don't play, then maybe watch. On the 29th and 30th, it'll be on my YouTube live stream on the main channel. And the only other thing I'm going to say, please do not try to find this guy. Do not flame this guy. And I'm not saying this just so I do my due diligence so I don't get in trouble. I really mean it. I would be embarrassed if that's what happened. And if you ever see another Ludwig viewer like flame someone on Twitter, whether it's this guy or anyone else, flame him. Not the original person, the Ludbud who thought they had some sort of high ground of morality to like try to ratio someone. Ratio them. Fuck them. All right? They're not a real Ludwig viewer if they're going to be assholes to people. It reflects on me in, again, even if they're being an asshole, treating people with a little bit of empathy and respect goes a long way. And I already got my comeuppance with this fucking tournament, and I'm pretty hype on it. So if, again, you live in the U.S., Canada, or Mexico, you are totally free to play. And hopefully you guys check out my tournament. The pettiest thing I have ever done. LACS4, baby. Let's go. Let's fucking go, baby. Drama alert coming back tomorrow. Maybe, probably not.